East African time. This is Lookup News coming to you live from our Lookup studios right here in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. And today, the day 28th of September 2023, we've got lots lined up for you on the political front, business, as well as a lot of sporting action. Before we get into it, here are our top stories. Tonight on Lookup News, former IBC commissioners, famously known as Cherera 4, want an audit of the 2022 elections, while former chairman Mafula Chebukati and two other commissioners refused to appear before the National Dialogue Committee.
We are appealing to those living in low-lying and flood-prone areas to move to higher grounds.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua says the government will deploy military and police officers in El Nino response and mitigation efforts to avert humanitarian crisis. And the government urged to prioritize programs preventing unwanted and early pregnancies to end increased deaths from unsafe abortions. Once more, welcome to the broadcast. I am Nansina Limer. Our sign language interpreter for tonight is Felista Adundo. Do stay with us for the next few minutes as we bring you up to speed. And as well, do let us know where you're watching us from at Lookuptv on Twitter, Lookuptv on Facebook, and Lookuptv on our YouTube channel. Let's begin. As the country continues to prepare for the projected El Nino rains, the national government has advised Kenyans living in flood-prone areas to move to safer places as a precautionary measure. While addressing a multi-sectoral team that brought together the two levels of government to plan on how to avert humanitarian crisis that may occur during the heavy downpour, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua says that even though the government has put in place elaborate measures to ensure safety, there is still a looming danger for residents in regions that experience occasional flooding. And as a reporter Henry Tende now details, both military and the police will be deployed to respond to humanitarian aids during the downpour.
Meeting to assess the El Nino response and impact mitigation that brought together leadership from both levels of government, state agencies and partners. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua says the national government has taken proactive measures to avert major humanitarian crises during the El Nino rains, like the one which was witnessed in the 1997 El Nino downpour. To ensure no human life is lost, the government has advised Kenyans living in flood-prone areas to relocate to higher grounds for safety.
It's very important for us, Kenyans, to take measures to reduce the negative impact of these rains. That is why we are appealing to those living in low-lying and flood-prone areas to move to higher grounds. On the other hand, we would like to urge our farmers, especially those with grains to harvest, and store their produce early, and where possible, sell to those who are willing to buy.
The government is planning a multifaceted response to humanitarian aid needs that will see both the military and police and other state agencies working in coordinated response measures.
I want to give the government's commitment that we shall apply all resources at our disposal, including the Kenya Defence Forces. The Minister for Defence is here. The National Youth Service is a reserve army for the country when there are challenges.
As Safaricom, I can commit that we are ready to support especially the early warning signs, which early warning support communication through flash messages and so on, that really are life-saving in many ways if they are delivered on time and if they are coordinated across the ministry.
The two levels of government will pool resources together to guarantee success of the response efforts.
El Nino is beyond the national government. El Nino is beyond our development partners. That is why we must work together by leveraging our diverse capacities in technical and financial resources. We do not wish to lose lives and livelihoods. We do not wish to see the 1997 El Nino situation, which more than 1.5 million people were displaced and negatively affected. We must safeguard the gains we have made since the rains commenced. That is why we must prepare properly together as one.
The government has issued a warning to all Kenyans to exercise personal responsibility not to put their lives in danger.
And again, we ask Kenyans not to be very adventurous, because the Director General of Meteorological Department said some people are daredevils. And we saw that in 1997. Some motorists are impatient. They want to drive through raging floods, and we lost many lives in 1997.
El Niño rains are expected to persist until mid or late December. Henry Tende, Lookuptv.
Thank you, Tende. Now, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kindiki says Kenya Prison Service Department has made tremendous milestones in ensuring diversity in employment opportunities in recent recruitments. As Gail Aluda now reports, Kindiki says officers from the department aged 60 years and above are set to retire as per legal requirements to create room for young fresh men and women in the service.
Appearing before the Parliamentary Committee on Cohesion and Equal Opportunity, Internal Security CS Kindiki had a difficult time explaining why the Prisons Department has not achieved the 2/3 gender rule in prison jobs. The CS noting that changes are being made to achieve the 2/3 gender rule while praising the 23.5% of employed female officers compared to the greater percentage of male officers.
The proportion of women 23.5%.
However, Kindiki said the government is trying to close the huge gap of employment between female and male officers, saying the relevant department have already been notified to meet those requirements.
We are working hard. We've taken a policy position to correct this mess. I've already engaged the Principal Secretary responsible and the Commissioner General of Prisons to make sure that that gap is filled. We do not have a Kenyan community with zero.
Kindiki explained the government's resolve to ensure prison officers who are of 6 years and above will be forced to retire so that more opportunities can be created for young officers to be employed.
Officers who reach 60, they must retire. This will help us to create room for promotion, especially at senior level management. The bulk of our officers to be at the most productive stage.
Kindiki says people living with disabilities are fully included in the 3 highest level positions in prisons department.
Senior Superintendent of Prisons, 3. We have 3 members of PWDs.
Aludagal, Lookuptv, Nairobi.
To a top story tonight, former IBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati was a no-show despite expectations to have him present his recommendation to the National Dialogue Committee. However, Chebukati opted to write a letter to the committee with his counterparts, the infamous Cherera 4 led by Juliana Cherera and Irene Masit, insisting on the auditing of the 2022 presidential elections while lamenting that they are in exile due to their own safety after receiving threats from unknown individuals. Stanley Lugaria with the story.
Despite being expected to present their proposals before the National Dialogue Committee, former IEBC chairperson Wafula Chebukati-led faction wrote an open letter regarding to the unavailability while calling on the formation of an inquiry committee into the happenings on the IEBC staff.
We are privileged to be here, and we have confidence that we are speaking to the committee that will take some or a few of our recommendations for the benefit of reforming IEBC.
During their virtual presentation, Commissioners Juliana Cherera and Mercy Masit, who have sought political asylum abroad, claimed there was need to expeditiously audit the 2022 general election, insisting that they are in exile for their own safety after receiving threats from individuals and communities over their last-minute move to disown the 2022 presidential election results.
In the future, can there be an ad hoc, can there be a neutral body that oversees IBC apart from JLAC?
That there's that responsibility of the Commission and the Secretariat that are tend to work in conflict to one another. So, if you look at our history as a country, we have had conflict at the Commission between the Secretariat and the Commissioners.
Registrar of Political Parties under RUTO called on rebel politicians who defy orders from the political parties that sponsored them to power to follow the laws and regulations enshrined in the Political Parties Act.
Our proposal is that the 0.3% established under the Act should find its way into the Constitution to make sure that the political parties fund is reinvested in terms of how much money should come to political parties.
Former Attorney General Githu Muigai, spitting history and law wisdom, adduced that the timelines allocated for the hearing and transition of the electoral process is not enough, which urgently needs to be reviewed, suggesting the reduction of number of counties and constituencies to cut on high-wage bill.
Which is not a view shared by many of my countrymen, is that we have too many people in parliament. We have too many constituencies, so that we should be reducing constituencies, not increasing. We have too many counties. We should reduce counties, not increase counties.
The sessions continue on Monday, with the committee intending to complete the hearing of the proposals from the public before retreating to draft a report to be submitted to Parliament for consideration. As the clock ticks, a lot continue to be unraveled here at the Bomas of Kenya. Today, those appearing before the National Dialogue Committee led by former IEBC commissioners, commonly known as or referred to the Cherera Four, have revealed that they were deprived of their mandate to oversee and verify the electoral process results. The question now poses, was it really true that the former IEBC chair interfered with the presidential result? Stanley Lugaria, Lookuptv at the Bomas of Kenya, Nairobi.
Thank you, Lugari. Moving on, the government, I beg your pardon, let me run that again. As the government seeks to expand its technological base with its master plan targeting to create more than 50,000 new jobs and 500 new in IT companies, President William Ruto has noted that Kenya has an opportunity to collaborate with three countries in a bid to deliver transformative technological solutions across all sectors. This comes as the country hosts the IBM Research Africa Lab 10th anniversary.
Speaking at Catholic University during the IBM Research Africa 10th anniversary, President William Ruto said Kenya has an opportunity to collaborate with other countries. This, according to him, will help in delivering transformative solutions across all sectors.
An engagement that extends the scope of our joint endeavor to include initiatives enhancing our capacity to deliver transformative solutions in the delivery of public services across various sectors. This event, to commemorate 10 years of IBM Research Lab, will provide us yet another opportunity to extend our conversation, appraise our achievements, evaluate our present needs, and envision a bold, disruptive path to the future.
The event that brought together a joint venture with the Kenyan government, ICT Board and IBM will further the government ICT agenda. ICT Cabinet Secretary Elido Walo hinted at more partnership with private and other related sectors who will work together to enhance technological advances in the country.
A platform to discern the nexus between research in the technological space and innovation and creativity, which is a critical success factor for us moving forward. Your Excellency, in line with your digital transformation agenda, which you have tasked us as a ministry to operationalize, we are alive to the fact that research is imperative.
IBM Director of Research Dr. Dav Gill applauded Africa, noting that the continent honors technology, terming that as the reason behind the opening of the first lab in Africa over the last 10 years, as the labs have contributed in achieving the continent's technological agenda.
Another important aspect is the creation of a collaborative ecosystem that encourages innovation. We have partnerships with institutions across academia, industry, government, and startups to share knowledge and spur on innovation for the entire region, including a popular educational series on AI and a youth science program that's attracting hundreds of kids to each session.
According to the leaders, so much more needs to be done as long as technology is concerned in addressing various issues, top among them climate change, which was termed as a top priority. Mavin Getembe, Lookuptv, Nairobi.
That story by Mavin Getembe takes us for a very fast break here on the program. So much more on the other side. Don't go too far.
We got good news for you. You have the opportunity to win up to 100,000 shillings cash money from Kuza Bees. It's easy to participate. Just open M-Pesa, Lipa na M-Pesa, account number 825454, account name right, Lookuptv, then deposit 99 shillings only. Remember, the more you participate, the more the chances of winning. Hurry now and be one of the winners of the Daily Cash Awards.
This game is BCLB licensed and is not open to persons under the age of 18 years. Play responsibly.
Are you looking for experts in waterproofing systems, concrete admixtures, flooring systems, refurbishment solutions, roofing, sealing and bonding, and building finishing systems? Look no more, as Sika Kenya got you covered. With over 113 years of experience, we offer our customers comprehensive one-stop shop experience and the best technical support. Our products are available in all leading hardware stores and building merchants across the country. Call us today on 0711 140 232 or 0786 140 834. or email us on sales@ke.sika.com. Sika Kenya, building trust.
Tuko na shopping voucher worth 100k. Unasikia aje?
Mambo iko sawa sawa hivi.
Unaweza tueleza ulicheza aje Loto?
Loto kucheza unaenda kwa lipa na M-Pesa.
Triple 7. Triple 0.
Okay.
Alafu account win. After hiyo unaweka amount.
Mimi nacheza online. Unaweka phone number. Alafu inakupatia option ya kuchoose. Ucheze between 50 shillings to 2000.
Uko na ujumbe gani kwa watu ambao wanakutazama?
Nawaambia waendelee na kucheza, watie bidii, wacheze Loto. Loto ni ukweli.
Over 18s only. Gaming can be addictive. Play responsibly. This message has been approved by the BCLB.
Changamka, cheza Loto.
Welcome back. This is Lookup News. Thank you so much for staying with us. I am Nancy Nalima. Our sign language interpreter is Felista Aljundo. Let's continue. Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has called upon the Dialogue Committee to ensure that the outcome of the bipartisan talks will be of benefit to the country. Mudavadi noted that despite the talks being binded by law, the funds pumped into the talks will be subject to an audit by the Auditor General, while rubbishing the idea of the talks being funded by other countries.
And I'm happy that it has gone through a process where it is now validated as a parliamentary process. Okay? Now, if it is a parliamentary process, the entity that appropriates funds is Parliament. It is not anywhere else. It is Parliament. So, Parliament can appropriate the resources based on what they looked at as an evaluation of what could come and build up. So they have put some proposition on the table, and I can tell you that these funds are not immune to the audit of the Auditor General. It's public money. It's not immune to the audit process of the Auditor General. Equally, to appropriate any funds, it must be consistent with the Public Finance Management Bill. Kenyans are involved in a dialogue. Let them manage their affairs. If for some reason this dialogue process was funded by country X or by country Y, and we have that famous message that he who pays the piper calls the tune. Would Kenyans, or would we want this dialogue that is about Kenyans to be funded by external entities? If you ask me, I'll tell you no. If it is a Kenyan process, let it be funded by Kenyans themselves, because it is a Kenyan dialogue.
Away from that, as Kenya joins the world in celebrating International Safe Abortion Day, sexual and reproductive health activists have petitioned both the national and county governments to invest more in comprehensive sexual and reproductive health services and information. As Beatrice Njoroge now reports, there's a need for the government to prioritize programs towards preventing unwanted and early pregnancies.
With September 28th marking the International Safe Abortion Day worldwide, the Kenya Legal and Ethical Issues Network on HIV and AIDS, Killing Program Officer Dorcas Nyambura, notes that unsafe abortion has become a public health concern following the increase in number of deaths and cases reported.
We have realized in our work of advocacy that unsafe abortion is one of the highest it's one of the highest causes of maternal mortality in the country, and the stigma around talking about abortion and termination of pregnancy is quite high. So in a way of diffusing that awkward conversation and wanting to bring people together so that we have a very meaningful discussion, we brought together the community people, members of the executive, the county assembly, so that we play together, and our theme is actually goals beyond the game.
Speaking in Nakuru during celebration to mark International Safe Abortion Day, Nyambura noted that millions of shillings are spent on post-abortion care, while calling on the government to prioritize programs towards preventing unwanted and early pregnancies as a way of ending cases of unsafe abortion.
Beyond this game, there are goals that we'd want to achieve, which is to reduce the rates of maternal mortality that arise out of unsafe abortion.
Nyambura termed reproductive choice, including access to safe abortion services, as a basic and non-negotiable tool for ensuring human rights of every woman and girl, not just in the region, but in the whole country.
What we are saying today is some of these pregnancies arise out of rape, defilement, yet the law clearly protects these victims of sexual violence to actually access safe abortion and safe termination methods. So we'd want to just sensitize the public that the Constitution is there. What sometimes we don't know is ignorance sometimes affects our people, and so we are trying to build awareness around this topic.
Wanjiko Njoroge, Lookuptv.
Now, in a bid to counter the rising cases of terrorism, Interior Principal Secretary Raymond Omolo today morning held a meeting with Deputy Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja. The PS noted that the government has put in place measures to counter the recent spur in terrorist activities in the country. Omolo exuded confidence that with the partnership, the key stakeholders, including residents in gathering intelligence, will help tackle terrorism.
The issue or the threats of terrorism in northeastern and coastal regions. So we had a team that comprised of the regional security and intelligence committees of the two regions, together with the county security intelligence teams. So we went through a review of the issues around terrorism and also the plans around trying to address the ever-existing threat on terrorism, particularly in Lamu and certain parts of northeastern. So that team, of course, we've ended up with a raft of proposals that we'll be implementing over the next 2 years. But the biggest takeaway is the role that the multi-agency plays in trying to address the threat of terrorism. So we are calling on every player within government, outside government, the elected leadership, particularly from the 2 regions, and also the citizens, wananchi themselves, because without wananchi, who actually are the biggest group that bears the brunt of terrorism, it's difficult to completely deal with the effects of the terrorism itself.
The budget and responsibility is to see to it that there is peace and security in our country. In this region, we know there are many issues on security, and that is where our discussion has been centered on. We are doing well, and I'm grateful to the officers.
Trade and Industry Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria has assured the residents of Narok of the government's commitment to boost their daily lives through the commercialization of the ornaments. Speaking during the launch of the County Industrial Park, Kuria emphasized the need to ensure farmers reap big from their hard work, as the government has set aside funds to procure storage facilities for farmers.
Na mimi niko na ndoto kubwa sana mambo ya ushanga. Wiki ijayo tumekubaliana na mama moja wa kutoka pale wa Kajiado, anaitwa Masaipei. Tutakutana na wale watu wanaitwa Mastercard kuhakikisha ya kwamba tunaweza kuweka mambo ya ushanga katika ile e-commerce, ndio hata mzungu akiwa ng'ambo aweze kununua ushanga moja kwa moja. Na pia hapa tutakuwa na soko kubwa sana hapa pahali tuko mambo ya ushanga. Wazungu wengine watakuwa wanakuja hapa, wengine wataingia kwa mtandao waweze kununua hapa. Hiyo yote itakuwa pesa kwa mfuko. Nataka kumwambia Rebeka, wiki ijayo ukuje na pia watu ya Kajiado na watu ya Samburu, mkuje wakati tunakutana na hao watu wao wazungu, pia nyinyi mkuje tushirikiane pamoja, na pia ulete wamama kutoka hapa Narok wakuja waone vile wazungu wanakaa. Mwisho kimalizia, nataka kusema kwamba hii maneno ya Wamasai kupigwa picha kila wakati, kama lazima nimpigwe picha, mkuwe na pesa kwa mfuko. Masai sio tu kupigwa picha. Na ndio tunasema mifugo yetu, maziwa yetu, nyama yetu, mboga yetu ikuwe ni ya kuwafaidi nyinyi wa Masai na watu ya Narok. Na pia mambo ya utamaduni yetu, sio tu utamaduni, sio tu uturathi ya kitaifa, bali pia ni uchumi ya nyinyi kuweka pesa kwa mfuko. Juzi katika baraza la mawaziri tuliweza kupitisha kwa kamati mswada unaitwa Culture Bill, ndio tuweze kuzuia wale watu wanatumia utamaduni yetu kutajirisha watu wengine huko nje.
President William RUTO has reiterated his government's intention to bolster relationships with Serbia in key sectors. RUTO held a meeting with departing Serbian ambassador to Kenya, Dragan Zupančević. He said that his government's plan to enhance its relationship with Serbia, especially in agriculture, pharmaceutical manufacturing, technology and communication technology, in a bid to strengthen ties between the two countries. Bridget Agola with our business rep.
President William RUTO has reaffirmed his business and investment relationship with Serbia following a meeting to bid farewell to the outing Serbian ambassador to Kenya, Dragan Zupančević, who has served as ambassador for the past 6 years. The head of state stated that Kenya has plans to strengthen its ties with Serbia, particularly in agriculture, pharmaceutical manufacturing, technology and communication technology, which will benefit the citizens of both countries. In other news, Information and Communication Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo now says the RUTO administration is dedicated to preserving media freedom. Additionally, through the Ministry of Communications, Owalo noted that the government aims to provide citizens with free internet access to promote digital literacy in the country.
It is an inalienable right enshrined in our 2010 constitutional dispensation here in Kenya as well, to ensure that each and every individual of each and every Kenyan, for that matter, accesses any sort of information from any government entity, depending on unfolding events from time to time. And as a ministry charged with the responsibility of executing that mandate, I want to reassure you once more that we remain alive to that, and we will ensure that members of the public have got the access to information as is stipulated in our 2010 constitutional dispensation.
Elsewhere, the Nyandarua County government has launched a major plan to transform the Olkalau Arboretum, converting the luxurious 79-acre park into a modern tourism system. County Governor Dr. Kiarie Badilisha noted that the county has collaborated with various stakeholders to introduce innovations in the tourism sector.
To develop the whole tourism ecosystem within Nyandarua County, the county government is also developing related sites and assets which add into the development of the tourism sector in the county.
Bridget Agola, Lookuptv.
Now, people living with hearing and speech disabilities in Kakamega County are decrying being neglected on matters family planning, which has resulted to them siring many children. According to the chairman, Habil Oumer, there's need for the government and the community to consider the plight of the people with disabilities. Ebi Kadenye with this and more in our County Watch.
People living with hearing and speech disabilities in Kakamega County are lamenting about being neglected in health and family planning centers. Led by their chairperson Habil Ouma, they reiterated the need for health services staff to learn sign language in order for them to offer proper health care to those able differently.
And my message to the Minister for Health, you need to plan even the services provided in the health, they should learn sign language so that they can accommodate the deaf community when they come for their services, so that the services can become better.
Bungoma County government has agreed to donate 1 acre parcel of land in the Musikoma area to build modern courts to reduce the backlog of cases in the Bungoma High Court. GSC Commissioner Evelyn Olwande noted that the backlog has been brought about by lack of fair share from the national revenue.
Okay, yes. Historically, judiciary has always had challenges with funding. I don't think we get our fair share of funding from the national revenue. We are pushing that if we could get a fixed percentage, our proposal is 3% of the national budget, then most of these problems we keep repeating year in, year out would be resolved.
Elsewhere in West Pokot, the county government through the Ministry of Tourism and Culture has refuted claims that the county is a security risk area. The leaders called upon the locals to preserve tourist attraction sites such as Keringet area.
Tafadhali tuchunge Keringet swamp kwa sababu watalii watakuja kama kuna mahali ataenda kuangalia.
And finally, Siaya County Government, through the Department of Tourism and Sports, has adopted a homestay concept with a view to promote local tourism in the region. County Executive Committee member for Tourism Angeline Oduor says they have adopted the homestay concept as a way of promoting the conservation of the Luo culture.
We are encouraging, and I'd like to encourage all the Siaya people. Like I said before, it is a very simple concept that can be done by anyone as long as you have a home and you have a room which can be assessed and be cleared to be able to host a visitor. There are features that we look into. We look at the security, we look at how the food that you make for that visitor is handled, the water that you drink, where you get the water and how it is treated. So we look at the safety.
Ebi Kadenyi, Lookuptv.
Now let's get sporty. Sports Cabinet Secretary Ababu Mwamba has stated the roadmap ahead of the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations scheduled to take place in Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania. Ababu insists that Kenya will embark on infrastructural developments of Nyayo Stadium, Moi Sports Center, Kipchoge Keino and Talanta Stadium, which will play host to the tournament.
all sports will benefit. Every single element of sports will benefit. For instance, our new Talanta Stadium, our planned Talanta Stadium at Jamhuri is going to be Kenya's first ever. And if I'm not wrong, it may end up being East Africa's first ever football-only customized stadium. And it's a stadium that will be customized to host football and rugby. So football will benefit immensely by having a customized football stadium without a racing track. So the atmosphere inside there is going to be incredible. It's going to be an amazing arena for football and rugby.
You have to remember that this was a secret ballot vote and we were competing against very tough opponents. I am glad that finally we have this. We have 4 years to go. And I said we will do this. I know many people, like the president said, didn't believe. Now the work begins, so thank you to everybody. Thank you to my colleagues that supported us. Thank you to Uganda and Tanzania on football, but most importantly, thank you for the investment and commitment that the government has made. Let's go do the job. Thank you.
The International Tennis Federation in Kolo wheelchair meeting has kicked off at the Nairobi Sports Club with 16 players from 7 nations gracing the meetup. The winner of the tournament is expected to bag a whopping $3,000 as the top prize take home. Robert Chacha with more.
The ITF Uniqlo Wheelchair Tennis Tournament has kicked off with 16 players from 7 countries battling for Paralympic 2024 slot in Paris, France. Rajib Abdallah and his counterpart Kali Botieno have tussled up doing the Kenyan flag in the men's singles together with John Wambua and Timo Itaken.
Mashindano yako poa, motivation ajua ni muda mrefu alikuwa tujapata hii tournament. Yeah, 2020 but tunashukuru kwa Federation for organize hii tournament.
In the ladies singles, Phoebe Masika took down Tanzania's Pendo Nzongo, advancing to the next round of the tournament.
So far tournament zimekuwa nzuri, isipokuwa tuko na changamoto kidogo upande wa ladies. Ladies tumekuwa wachache mno. Sasa ningeomba yani kufanyike kivyo vyote vile yani ladies waongezeke.
The ITF Met Up serves as a world ranking tournament with the winner expected to bag $3,000.
It's a good thing to bring back wheelchair tennis back to our country. We always say that this is the sport that will take us to the Paralympics. It has an easy path, and so that has been our goal, and we are glad that ITF awarded us these events.
This year's edition returns after short hitters since the last held in 2020. Now, the second leg of Uniqlo Tennis International kicked off here today with Kenyan's leading tennis player, the likes of Rajib Abdallah and Phoebe Masika, indicating different results. They're hopeful they'll perform better as they qualify for the Paris 2024 next year in Paris, France. Robert Chacha from the Nairobi Tennis Club in the county of Nairobi.
Thika Sports Club will host the 5th leg of the DTB Golf Tournament, scheduled to kick off on the 30th of September this year. More than 200 golfers are expected to tee off battling for the top prize. And we've come to the end of the broadcast this evening. Look up news across all our social media platforms. Look up TV on Twitter, Look Up TV on Facebook, and Look Up TV on our YouTube channel. I'm Nancy Nalimo. Our sign language interpreter has been Felista Adundo. Keep it right here on Look Up TV, and for the latest news, you can catch that on www.lookuptv.co.ke. But for now, it's a good night. See you tomorrow.
We value your feedback and welcome your complaints about our programming and operations. Feel free to get in touch with us through